this origin of the covenant. Okay? Genesis 3:21, God, in the 21st verse says, and unto Adam and to his wife did the Lord make coats of skin and clothe them. So it's pretty obvious that from the beginning, God was involved with blood covenant. Something had to shed his blood on an animal, and he used that animal's skin to cover them. They couldn't cover themselves. They really tried to cover up the sin. When they found out that they were naked, Adam and Eve, they were trying to cover themselves with leaves. But then God covered them. Blood was shed, and he got the coat of that animal and covered them. Next thing, you ready? The reason for cutting the covenant. If you're taking notes, the reason for cutting the covenant. There's three important reasons. One reason could be one weak tribe, and then there's another strong tribe. The weaker tribe would seek to cut covenant with this strong tribe so that the weak tribe could be preserved. If somebody tried to fight the weaker tribe and they have a covenant with a stronger tribe, then it would be like anything that where they were weak, the other tribe was strong. Or else it might be a tribe that could grow crops really good, and another tribe, they would just die if they had to grow their own food because they were not good at growing stuff. So they would make covenant together, and then the other people wouldn't have to starve because they are in covenant with a stronger a tribe that can grow food better. Second reason for cutting the covenant, two businessmen might want to go into covenant together because they want to be sure that neither one of them can do the other one wrong. If they're in blood covenant with each other, that assures them that neither one of them is going to take advantage of the other one. A third reason for cutting the covenant is like if two men loved each other's souls. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about like David and Jonathan. You know, they loved each other's soul. They cut the covenant and with each other for that love's sake. All right. Roman number 3, if you're taking notes. Roman number 4. First Roman number was the origin of the covenant. The second Roman number is the reason for cutting the covenant. The third Roman number is the method. This is how people would cut the blood covenant. Number 1, two people who wanted to enter covenant with one another, they would come together with their friends and a priest. And then the first thing they would do would exchange gifts. That meant that everything that's in my possession is available to you. And everything that you have is available for me if I need it. That's the gift exchange. The second thing that happens in the method of cutting the covenant is the priest would bring a cup of wine. He would put a cut in one of the guy's wrist or somewhere, and he would let that blood drop in that wine. And then the other person, they would stir that wine up, that blood, and then they would cut the other man's wrist. It would cut his wrist, or else cut a ring around their thumb. Y'all ever heard it sticks out like a sore thumb? That meant that man got a covenant with somebody. You better not mess with him. Amen. So he would cut. There'll be a cut somewhere on that. Everybody who's in covenant, they got a cut on them somewhere. And he would cut the wrist and let his blood drop in the wine, stir it up, and then one of the men would drink part of the wine. They'd give the cup to the other man, and they would drink the other part. They would mingle the blood. The life is in the blood of the flesh. They would mingle their lives together. The next thing that would happen when they are cutting the covenant is that the priest would pronounce, it was the blessing and the cursing. Blessing and the cursing. The priest would announce So he would curse. He would announce curses on the person that would come upon the person who would break the covenant between these two people. Any one of these two people who break the covenant, this would happen in their lives. And then he would bless them. He would speak blessing for both parties who would keep the terms of the covenant. Okay? Now, this is Roman number 4. The sacredness of the covenant. Oh, by the way, in the Bible, in the old covenant, there are 2 covenants. Everything about redemption hinges on 2 covenants in the Bible. The old covenant is called the Old Testament. And the new covenant, that's the one we are in. The New Testament. Say it, the old covenant and the new covenant. Now, the old covenant in the book of Deuteronomy, the 11th chapter, and Deuteronomy, the 27th chapter, you'll see 2 mountains. One was the mountain of the curse. Every year, the curses would be pronounced from the mountain of the curse. And the mountain of the blessing, every year, they would rehearse the blessings of God's covenant. Now let's get to the sacredness of the covenant. This is Roman number 4. The sacredness of the covenant in Africa. Y'all know that everything started in Africa, don't you? You know the Garden of Eden was in Africa, but I'm just letting you know. I'm talking about in Africa. Those people, they are covenant-minded people. In Africa, if one was to break the covenant that he had with somebody else, that person's wife or that person's mother or that person next of kin would hunt them down and give them over to the avenger so that they can destroy their own family member because they broke the covenant with somebody. You just did not break covenants. Nobody could live in Africa and break covenants. He cursed the ground that he walked on for breaking the covenant. It was so sacred until the children from the second and third and fourth generation will still keep the covenant that their forefathers had with each other. Now, number 5, the memorial. The memorial, some places that have trees that trees will grow in those countries. They would plant trees as a memorial of a covenant that was made with somebody. Trees help people remember this covenant, this blood covenant. If a place didn't grow trees, then they would stack up some stones as a memorial of the covenant. They would stack up, make a big stack of stones. The moment a covenant is solemnized, y'all know what solemnized is. Once a person enters into covenant, everything that a blood covenant man owns in the world is at the disposal of his blood brother. And everything that his brother needs is available to him. If he needs it, he can have it. Everything that a covenant man has belongs to his covenant. It's available to everything that he is. Everything he can do, it belongs to him if he needs it. Absolutely. And he asks nothing of his brother unless he's driven by want to ask him for it. Nobody takes advantage of a blood covenant brother. He won't even ask him anything unless he's driven by need.